I start by drying off the meat very well. It makes it less slippery because you don't want to slip when you've got a sharp knife, right? All right, so again, this is our money muscle that competition cooks use. There is a trend that people cut off all of the fat, cut all of this down. You know, I don't do that, and I have a pretty good record in pork. So I take off all these little loose pieces, or if there's hard fat. And then as far as the money muscle is concerned, you're trying to separate this and do what they call roll it out. So you can season it around all the sides and then make like a medallion in your box. So I find my money muscle, which is here, and I'm gonna cut off this fat so I can see how far and show you how far back it goes. So you can still see this striation right here, same as this muscle, but there's a vein here. Y'all, I take veins out. Reason being is they have like a texture for some people that's odd and stringy, and also they kind of have like a minerally taste. So I like to take that out. So you can see it right here. We're taking that out. But I can really see how far back this money muscle goes. You know, a lot of cooks get all upset because it seems like we waste all of this meat. And I have to say some teams do. But you can save it for sausage. You can save it for soup. So if you'll see this money muscle right here is starting to take form. And there is actually, you can feel it. I know, that's funny. Feel your meat. Just do it. Anyway. So I'm going to keep trimming this out until I can expose that muscle. Now I'm doing it kind of slow so you can kind of see as it starts to form. And I can actually reach in here between the rest of the pork butt and the money muscle. So I'm going to keep trimming that out, following that line that I can feel. And then I'm going to do what's called roll it out. Now, usually when you do a box for competition, you don't really use the ends because they get done. That's cook's treat. Anyway, so this is what we're trying to do, is actually roll this muscle out. So when we cook it, we can cut medallions just like this and put it in the box. So I'm going to trim off this fat and this fat. And then I'm going to season it. And I simply season with salt first. And I use kosher salt because I can see where it goes. And then you can put any of your rubs that you feel, taste good to you. I don't use a lot of rub. I use a very minimal amount. But you never know. The tastes change, all the time in competition barbecue. We are cooking for the judges, not necessarily for us. So I've got this trimmed out. I'm going to grab my kosher salt and get it seasoned up. All right, this is my competition trimmed butt. I take very little off. You will see that most teams cut quite a bit more off than I do. This is just my system, and everybody has a different one. I trim off, you can see, roughly about a handful. I like to cook super low slow, so leaving a lot of the fat and just making sure you have all of this tough stuff that's not going to render off. Any bone fragments, some people will wash it, but there's often some bone fragments here that come from the factory. So you can feel that and make sure that it's all off. Any loose pieces like this, go ahead and take those off because they're just going to kind of burn and your bark won't be nice. But if you take off all those loose pieces, and that way you'll get a good even cook. So your smoke is coming around it evenly. Like aerodynamics of a car, right? So let's put some salt on it. And then I'll season it with whatever rub of the day I'm going to decide to use. And I think today I'm going to use maybe some salt and some Cimarron Docks, which is pretty popular on the circuit. It gives nice color and nice flavor. But that, again, changes quite often because, the judges' profiles change. So usually every season, a few different rubs, different sauces will get used. But if you're going to do this at home, you use what you like. But this is kind of a cool thing to do. And then you can slice it for sandwiches or just impress your guests. All right, Let's get the salt. I typically use kosher salt, and I like this shaker, and I just refill it because I can control it easier, and I'm not sticking my dirty hands into my salt well. So I'm just gonna give a nice coat. Now this looks like a lot, y'all, but remember it's kosher salt. The flakes are big. I just wanna make sure I get a coat everywhere on the butt, sides, top, bottom. They're seasoned and ready to go. Insert your thermometer, get your fire rolling, and let's get to cooking.